Welcome to our new office layout, featuring the world's first electric floor-to-standing desk from Uppeal Design. This video is made in collaboration with Uppeal, but we are going to be completely honest with our thoughts and experiences with the desks. If you're new here, you should know that we have a mildly unconventional take on a healthy workspace. If we had a tier list, a regular desk and chair would be in the bottom. An adjustable standing desk with the added flexibility does a little better, and then we think a floor desk, while not perfect, could be better than a standing desk, although not by a huge margin. The appeal of Uppeal is that it provides the best of all worlds, going from floor to standing and everything in between. And if it delivers on that promise, then it will not just be a clear A tier in our eyes. We'll go ahead and put it all the way in the S tier. The question is, does it actually deliver?
A bit of a background. Uppeal started as a Kickstarter campaign back in 2021. Since we heard of them, we've been following their progress keenly. Over the years, we've turned down several opportunities from other standing desk and ergonomic chair brands because 1. We prefer to sit on the floor, and 2. We were holding out for the day where we could perhaps try out the Uppeal desk for ourselves. Finally, the day has come. Let's start from the beginning of our experience.
Our tabletops and table legs shipped out as separate packages at different times, but coincidentally, they arrived on the same day less than an hour apart. Our first impressions were positive. Everything came securely packed and well protected, and both the tabletops and legs felt well built and very heavy. Because of that heft, some of the heavy lifting in the assembly process will require 2 people. And on the website, it states that assembly typically takes about 15 minutes. The first desk definitely took me longer than 15 minutes, but a lot of it was familiarizing myself with the instructions and double checking that I was doing things right. The second desk did indeed take about 15 minutes to assemble. Technically, it can be done in an even shorter time if you had a helper who was more helpful. And if you have power tools instead of having to drive all the screws in manually. Overall, assembling the desk was quite simple, and powering it up and seeing it go from floor to standing for the first time was a sweet feeling.
To assess the desk, we have 2 simple criteria. First would be the height range. The main selling point of the Uppeal is that it's supposed to accommodate anything from floor sitting to standing. According to our measurements, the Uppeal goes as low as about 42 centimeters to as high as about 122 centimeters. That's 80 centimeters of travel, which is by far the most amount of travel we've seen, and at least 15 centimeters more than popular standing desk on the market. This is what allows the Uppeal to go down low enough to be a floor desk. Both of us are pretty average in height. I'm 164 centimeters tall, and sitting on these cushions by Van Design at the table's lowest setting is just about perfect. With my height, sitting directly on the floor isn't going to be the most ideal, but we sit on a more elevated surface most of the time anyway, such as meditation cushions, or you could use yoga blocks if you have some lying around.
On the standing side of things, I'm about 173 centimeters tall, and at my standing setting, there's still about 15 centimeters of room before reaching the maximum height. So in our case, the height range of the Uppeal desk works flawlessly. But we don't have tall people problems, and we already knew 42 centimeters would be low enough for us based on our experience with sitting on the floor. If you're particularly short or tall, you should consider whether the minimum and maximum height of the desk is going to work for you, and whether you'll need thicker cushions or an adjustable keyboard tray for a more optimal experience. While it's not necessary for us, it would of course still be nice to see even more range. The team at Uppeal has let us know that they are actively working on solving the engineering puzzle of allowing the desk to go even lower without sacrificing maximum height or stability.
Which brings us to our second criteria. The main function of a desk is to provide a stable work surface. It shouldn't feel flimsy or wobbly. As a floor desk, this is about as stable as it gets, thanks to the weight and low center of gravity. But of course, The real test is at standing height. We actually went to different stores to test out offerings from other brands, and the conclusion we've arrived at was that lower-end standing desks can be significantly more wobbly than the Uppeal, while higher-end options can be slightly more stable than the Uppeal.
Initially, we were not sure what to expect from a desk with this much travel, but the stability of the Uppeal desk actually exceeded our expectations. I tried typing and shaking my mouse violently in my best impression of an angry commenter, and yes, you can notice the display shaking if you're paying attention. But any standing desk is going to wobble if you're angry enough. In real-world use, we lean on the Uppeal, we bump into them, and they've never felt unstable to the point of causing concern or distraction. It could be a different story if you have multiple monitors mounted on monitor arms and a bunch of other heavy objects on your desk. But for a relatively simple setup, stability hasn't been a concern at all. So for both criteria of height range and stability, Uppeal passed with flying colours, which means it has delivered on its promise as a floor-to-standing desk solution, which is all we wanted it to do. For that reason, we wholeheartedly put the Uppeal desk in the S tier. As much as we loved our previous modified floor tables, they were far from perfect. Now with Uppeal, we can not only sit on the floor, we can also squat, kneel, balance on a stability ball, stand, or if we are feeling adventurous, we can even sit on actual chairs.
After a month or so in our new workspace, we have become noticeably more active and less sedentary, and that's great for the body because motion is lotion. There's one thing that we obviously wouldn't be able to test, and that's longevity. Thankfully, Uppeal has a stellar 10-year warranty, and that is huge because judging from how much we are constantly bringing the desk up and down all day, we suspect anyone who gets the Uppeal will put it through a more rigorous test than a normal person would with a regular standing desk.
Okay, so we've sung nothing but praises so far, and that's because it was actually hard to find fault with Uppeal's attempt at a floor-to-standing desk. But if we must find something unfavorable to say, we would point to the keypad. That's not to say that the keypad is terrible by any means. You could say it's minimalist in design. It's basic and does its job competently. But unlike the extremely solid-feeling tabletop and legs, the keypad feels less premium in comparison. It is made of a durable plastic, but with the way it's designed, it tends to flex and creak a little when pressing down on its edges. It doesn't bother us in daily use, but if you're trying to nitpick on the product, the keypad would be an easy target. That said, if we had to choose between having a fancy touchscreen keypad or the impressive height range and stability of the Uppeal, we would take the latter any day.
Finally, there's the conversation on price. Value is always going to be subjective. We know some people will immediately scoff at the thought of paying the retail price or more than $1,000 for a desk. And we can totally understand. We are budget-conscious consumers too. And let's be honest, part of the perks of having this channel is that we didn't have to pay for these, so we don't feel the pinch. But this is how we think about it. If we are in the market for a standing desk today, to get something similarly high quality from an established brand, we would have to spend close to $1,000. And if we want the option to sit on the floor, we'll have to spend a couple hundred more to get a floor desk as well. Now, assuming we can find a decent floor desk, which is a headache in itself, we'll have to go through the trouble of constantly switching between two different workspaces.
Alternatively, for the same cost, there's Uppeal. With a single desk, it provides a significantly better experience than what two separate workspaces could. And considering we work from home and this is something we use for like 12 hours a day, then all of a sudden, this seems like a no-brainer. There's quite literally nothing else like it at the moment. So well done to the team at Uppeal. It could have been very awkward having to make this video if the product didn't deliver on its promise. But thankfully, they have created what is close to our dream desk. We look forward to seeing more great things from the company in the future. If you're interested in getting one of these for yourself and you'd like to support the channel in the process, you can use our affiliate link in the description below. And if you want to understand why anyone would want a standing desk that goes all the way down to the floor in the first place, check out these videos. See you again soon.